What's up, guys? Ronin man. I want to talk about a couple of terms that I often hear on the channel or read in the comment section. And I want to say why I don't like these terms. And also, I don't like unthinking comments in general. So you kind of just repeating the same thing over and over and over again. So something that somebody heard and they're just parroting that terminology. And the two terms I'm going to talk about today very quickly is pump and dump, and it's just your turn. And these terms don't come up that often, but they're kind of indicative of a way of thinking. It's like a meme that's going around with guys, and it's very easy to get caught up in these memes, even when for myself, when I saw these terms in the comment box, I just, by the way, I've never used these terms ever in my life. So when I saw those terms, I kind of thought, oh, okay, yeah. Essentially, it's somebody who doesn't want, a regular monogamous relationship, But then I started thinking about it more, and I never, if you look back at the comments, I don't like those comments. I don't do the like thing. Maybe I might have once or twice just by accident or whatever, but generally I don't, and I couldn't really figure out why I don't. And so I thought about it. I thought, well, I better analyze this. This is worthwhile. So why don't I like the term pump and dump? A lot of reasons. Okay, so just first talk about what does it mean? I don't think there's any definition, but like pump and dump. So pump would be have sex. So it's not a MGTOW monk for starters. And then dump is a term that you would use. I don't really even use dump. I guess dump is like something that I heard in high school a lot, dump. So she dumped him, he dumped her. And generally what it meant in my experience was, very abrupt. So it wasn't a breakup. That's a different term, right? Breaking up or something like that, right? So dump would be maybe not show up on a date and never call again, or change phone numbers, or I think in some senses dump has a sense of a humiliating feeling to it. It's like leaving the girl waiting somewhere. Just dump her, right? She's like distraught and crying. So I guess that would be kind of that's my definition of dump. But whether it's that extreme or more extreme or less extreme, I don't know. But I think that's pretty fair. Dump is not a nice term, right? So if you get dumped, I don't know what that would mean, but it's not mutual for starters, right? So pump and dump. So have sex and then just kind of leave in the lurch or worse, right? Why would I not like that term? Because for one thing, I think it's unrealistic. I really do. Think about this, guys. The average guy has sex with 7 or 8 women. 7 or 8 women in his lifetime. So if you pumped and dumped, it could be a one-night stand, right? And then you just never show up again. Never call her again. Don't respond to her emails. That would be a dump, definitely, right? Pump and dump. One night stand is definitely pump and dump. But the problem is, I don't know how old you're going to live. It depends. Everybody's average age is 78 now, 72 for guys, 78 for women. So if you had 7 or 8 women and you pumped and dumped, you'd have sex once a year for you. Once every 10 years for your life, right? Sex one time every 10 years. And let's say it was, twice a year. So every, 150 days or so, you have sex once, and that's pump and dump. So I think this term goes into two categories in my mind. One category is the unthinking. So it's just, just kind of like, hey, pump and dump. It kind of makes sense. Kind of like a Budweiser commercial. Just repeat it. Whatever. No big deal. I don't want to harp on it too much. But the other one is more serious. So if you really think about what is pump and dump, it would mean that you'd have to pick up a lot of women. If you're going to pump and dump, so 7 or 8 times once every 10 years, obviously you can't have sex when you're under 10, but you know what I mean? It's like very few, very, very few. Like you're basically not having sex. Like if you're having sex like every 5 years or 7 years, you're basically not having sex, And so pump and dump would be a guy who basically doesn't have sex, right? That's basically what it is, right? And then when he does have sex, it's like rotten meat. He just never sees her again. And I had a friend, I'll tell you this. The reason why I say this is because I had a friend who actually did do this. We used to go out together. I guess you could call him my wingman, one of my wingmen. He was a good friend of mine. But I honestly think this guy, I actually know one guy. I was not pump and dump. Ronin was not pump and dump, and I'm going to explain that later. But my friend was, Mark. Mark was seriously pump and dump, and I know Mark had sex with over 1,000 women. And he would really pump and dump. Like he told me one time, I asked him, I said, why do you leave the girls so quickly? Like, he actually did this. And he said, when I look at the girl after I have sex with her, she looks like rotten meat to me. And I was like, whoa, fuck. Okay. I was like, I couldn't understand it. I was trying to trying to help him, but I think he might be a sociopath, actually. I mean, he doesn't develop that normal bond with people that is very normal. Like, it's normal, okay, when you kiss somebody or even are friends with somebody or work with somebody for a long time, that you develop some kind of bond with them. I mean, you even develop some kind of a bond with your neighbors that you see often, right? So to not develop a bond at all over sex is very unusual. I can't really, that's not normal. That is not normal. It is very, guys, you don't want to be, you want to have control of your life. You want to not let, other people rule your life. But at the same time, you also do want to be healthy and normal. And it is normal to, develop affection for somebody that you sleep with. It is. It's totally normal. It's absolutely fucking normal. And healthy also. Normal and healthy. Now, what you do with it is that's up to you. And I'm not saying that, obviously you don't want to get in a relationship with everybody, but I am saying that, you fight against it. Like I said in my one video, is like how to never fall in love again. It's like, part of it is like, you do kind of fight against it because your kind of instincts as a man is one thing. And then what's good for you legally and, in your, practically in your life is another thing sometimes, right? So let's see. So pump and dump. So a sociopath could pump and dump, and also a PUA could pump and dump. So my friend that had sex with 1,000 women that I believe was a sociopath, I think he was a guy who was capable. He was very, very capable of picking up women. He was good. He was like, this guy, he was very solid. And also he also had that kind of like, I don't know, just he lost interest totally after he would go conquest, and then that was it. He was done. And, totally cool. No. But it was just weird to me because he never developed any like emotion for any of the girls. And he ended up marrying a stripper, which is interesting, a girl in the sex industry. So I don't think that's a good role model, although he is a friend of mine, even now today, but if I was one of the girls, I, wouldn't like that. So I think, like I said, there's two ways this term is used. One is like unthinking, like just kind of like, hey guy, we're the guys, pump and dump. I think that's okay. I mean, but I would say like, also think about these things too. Don't just repeat stuff like a robot, like a, you know what I mean? Like just like parrot ideas over and over and over again. At least think about things a bit. And the only way you can really pump and dump is if you are a PUA, really. So anybody who comments pump and dump, either you have sex every 10 years or you're a PUA. And I would say that most guys on this channel Like, very few guys would consider them PUA. Even myself included. I'm not PUA anymore. That's definitely not my lifestyle. So I would say pretty safe bet to say that most of the guys that comment, I think dump is the key part of pump and dump that they're saying. So basically, like, leave the women. Just maybe I think a lot of guys come to MGTOW, let's face it, because they were hurt. Okay, so had difficulty. Something happened that hurt the guy, and that's fair. I mean, that's happening a lot these days, and there's a lot of guys out there who are really hurting, but let's be honest about it. Like, guys, if somebody hurt you, it's okay to say that. It's okay to say that, especially on my channel. It's okay to be normal. It's okay to have feelings. It's okay to be honest. It's not so great to be dishonest. And it's, and when you're not honest with something, it becomes impossible to heal from that thing, right? So anger is the natural result. Now, anger is the natural result regardless, temporarily. Anger or hurt, frustration, these are normal emotions in any kind of friendship, love relationship, romantic, any kind of sexual relationship. These are normal feelings, right? So I'm not saying that guys should not be hurt, should not be angry. That's, I talked about that before, like red pill rage, totally normal feeling. But that's not our goal. Our goal is to move beyond. Our goal, I think, as men is to experience life, experience emotions, analyze what happened, what we did right and wrong, and then just kind of hone our skills and kind of keep in touch with our feelings, and then also kind of hone our skills and slowly adjust the course, okay, to get to where we want to go at the time, right? That only happens through honesty. It doesn't happen through not dealing with something, right? So if a guy is angry and frustrated at women and has this desire, maybe he was dumped. Maybe he feels like he was dumped. So he's like, I'm going to pump and dump these other girls. Okay, fine. That I could see that. Definitely could see that. Hurt, and he wants to hurt other people, because obviously dumping is not going to be fun, right, for the girl. It's not fun for me. It's not fun for you. It's not fun for the girl. So I guess revenge would be kind of dump, So if a guy was, I'm guessing that the guy who made that saying the first time was basically he was hurt, and so he has a desire for revenge. He wants to hurt women at some level. We're not talking like anything serious, but we're just talking about emotional, leaving abruptly without an explanation and things like that, right? So I guess I can see that kind of desire, and I can see even somebody doing it, they're frustrated, but I don't think that's not a lifestyle for me. I mean, you got to be a pickup artist. You got to like be endlessly angry and never deal with it, right? Never kind of like come to terms with how whatever relationship ended for you before, So I don't know. I just think it doesn't have much meaning for me. And in fact, I know a lot of pickup artists too, even today, that are my friends who don't use that term. So I don't see why it's so common. Like, who is saying this? Like, who really does this? Like, who is so good at meeting women that he can actually pump and dump? I mean, very few guys, and then how many healthy guys have this as their motto or something, right? I don't know, Either way, I'm not into it. It just seems dumb to me. It's unthinking at the very least. And the next one is, it's just your turn. Okay. So it's just your turn. Again, this is another term that I would put in the category of somebody being hurt. So in this case, a man. A man was hurt, and he is now jealous because when anybody who made this term, and the first person who made this term would be, I mean, obviously pretty simple to me, would be guy had a girlfriend, she left him, right? And he was hurt, and then now she's with another man, or maybe she's married to another guy. She was married to him, she divorced him, she went to another guy. So this behavior, hypergamy, or just normal sexual relationships, the girl moved on, she's got a new guy, and so he says, it's just your turn, She's not yours, it's just your turn. But this one is different. It's different than pump and dump. So let me think, what does that one mean? Again, it's a result of somebody with hurt feelings who is not exactly dealing with them the best way, the most mature way. So it's just your turn. And also, this one is very clearly jealous. A man is seeing his old girlfriend with a new man, and he is jealous. And he, I guess, wishes he was with her, right? Right? That's pretty much what it is. That's the kind of guy who would say that. It's just your turn, because he's frustrated that he's not with her. So again, there's a lot of unspoken there's unspoken emotions that come in these terms. And I think it's important to get those emotions out and to be honest about those emotions. In other words, a lot of guys, like I said in an earlier video, the reason why they get married is just simply because they don't want to see another man put his penis in her vagina. Really, that's why guys get married. A lot of the reason. They just don't want to, they can't stand the idea of seeing that happen. And one of the key things, which I would agree with, is if you are with women having sex, I would say that you have to be able to handle that one. That natural jealousy that a man has, it's very natural, actually. I think it's evolution. I really don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's very healthy. Normal, every guy has it, completely normal. Everybody knows it. Girls know it. Everybody knows it. It's not a big secret. Guys don't want to see their girlfriend having sex with another guy, right? So very normal. But I think one of the key things as a man to control your life is to overcome this one. You have to overcome this one. So for me, I kind of imagine, this happening. And then I kind of like say, okay, I'm okay with that. Because you really don't own her, and you shouldn't own her, and she shouldn't own you. Nobody owns anybody. We don't own people. You have a friend and you're friends, and then if it doesn't work out, if something happens, you guys move, you move to a new city, you might not be friends with them eventually, right? Or if you whatever happens, you have a disagreement about something, you might not be friends. So one of the fundamental ideas of it's just your turn is that there's an anger that somebody was not, didn't stay with you. But I mean, really, are people supposed to stay with people? I mean, I guess that's the fundamental assumption underneath. It's just your turn is that there's an anger that she didn't stay with you, and that she's out there with another guy now, and you don't think that's right, or you wish it wasn't this way. But is that even natural? I mean, it's kind of a natural thing to meet a girl, have sex, get to know each other better, right? And then realize, are you really compatible? A lot of guys with a scarcity mindset, when they actually have sex with a girl, they're just going to keep doing it no matter what. For me, I'm always looking at the girl saying, do I like her? Is this working out? Like, does she like me? Do we match up? If we don't match up, then just, it's just natural to let it go. It's not like it's just your turn. It's more like it didn't work out, or you weren't a good match, or, there was something, timing or distance or logistics or some reason why, it wasn't, because two people have to agree to something for something to work out. for a relationship, right? You got to have both people, right? She's got to be happy with you, think that, in all the aspects of her life, that this is the guy she wants right now. And then you have to have the same feeling. And if anybody doesn't have those feelings, it ends up not working out. And that is a normal thing. And this is the basic of, healthy relationships. You have to be able to, as a guy, you have to be able to handle this. You have to be mature enough to deal with this. And I'm not saying it's not easy. It's easy, but it can be difficult. Truly can be difficult. There's no doubt about it. I am not saying that it's easy all the time. It can be very, very easy with 10, 100 girls, but then there's that one girl that can be super difficult. And I want to say that's, I understand that. But it is not, it doesn't mean that, I don't know, that the girl's no good, or, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't mean that you're no good. It doesn't mean that she's no good. It doesn't mean that she's I don't know what you would call a prostitute or whatever. She's not, like, I don't know. These terms are not good, man. That's all I can say and I think there's more and more of these terms that are just kind of seriously not good, and they're easy to repeat over and over, and they're based on being hurt. And they're really, truly, at the heart of them, they're based on, if we can analyze them further, I would say a lot of these terms are based on A, a guy who wants a relationship, B, a guy who didn't have success in a relationship, and C, a guy who didn't, do well in dealing with the loss of that relationship, and now wants to take out that anger on somebody else, and feels like there's a sense of, I don't know, pride or whatever. There's a sense of, righteousness or something in these terms, kind of like pump and dump. It's just your turn. It doesn't matter how she feels. But if one person does something, does the next person deserve the, the pain from that first person? So if you go to let's say a restaurant, and let's say you treat the waitress or the waiter very badly, right? And then you leave, right? The next customer comes in, and then they treat the waiter just normally, and then the waiter, treats them terribly. And the reason why is because the last customer treated him bad, and you're the next customer, so he's going to treat you bad. I mean, would that be fair to you? Would that be fair to you as a customer or as a waiter? The other way around. Not really, right? Because you have to deal with each person. You have to be. A lot of the reason why it can be difficult in relationships is because if somebody hurts you and you feel hurt and sad and frustrated, it can be sometimes difficult to confront that person. To say your true needs, right? Your real feelings, like, this hurt me. I felt very jealous when you did this, when you did this at the restaurant, or on Valentine's Day, when you did this was, I didn't like that, or I felt, jealous, I felt angry, and you made me feel sad, or you made me feel not important. These are expressing your feelings, right? And this is not easy. It's not fucking easy, right? And so what is the easiest thing to do is don't say anything, don't deal with it, and then kind of take it out on the next person. And I just don't think that is anything to be congratulated if you do that. Again, I think that we're all imperfect people. We're going to do stuff like that. It's going to happen, right? We're going to, obviously, I'm not saying like, no, I've never done that. I'm just saying that it's nothing to be congratulated about. It's nothing to like say, oh, some girl hurt me and I felt, I liked her and she dumped me. And then I went out and hurt a new girl, and, I'm a big man. It's like, no, no, not any more than if she did the same thing. If a woman, hurt you because some other man had hurt her, that's just not fucking fair, right? That's lame. That's totally lame, right? She's got to deal with that first husband. It's kind of similar, I guess, if a woman is like a man hater because she had 2 or 3 boyfriends that treated her badly. Now she's going to treat every man badly. I mean, every guy would agree that that's not fair. That's lame because, the guys didn't do anything to deserve it. It was some other guy, right? So don't do the same thing. And if you do it, you definitely shouldn't be proud of it, right? So either way, I don't want to harp on it too much. I just want to say that there is value in analyzing these statements because so many things just go around. We just say the same thing over and over. And I don't want to shame the guys who said these things because, again, sometimes it's just out of fun. It's like, hey, pump and dump, not thinking big deal, right? But there is a level, there's a point where you have to say to yourself, like, what am I saying to people? What am I thinking? Who am I? And how do I express myself? And how am I going to live my life? I would say most guys who say that on this channel, usually, if you ask them, they're not in a relationship. Like they're going their own way, right? They don't. But then they're saying like they're still angry at the ex, right? So I think there is value in overcoming trauma and hurt. I really do. I think there's value. Relationships can be very hurtful. They can, not hurtful, but they can cause great wounds in us, And these wounds, if you work on them, if you heal them, if you talk about them and actually deal with somebody who's intelligent, who has experience, I think that they can be quite valuable actually. Because an unhealed wound does not help you. Whatever that is, whatever it's over a relationship or a friendship or whatever, I think in my life, when I've overcome, when I've talked about things, when I've been honest with myself, there's certain friends you can be honest with and other friends you can't. You might have a couple of friends who can handle these kind of complex things, the complexities of life. And if you have a friend like that, it's gold, right? It's gold because you can actually tell them how you feel, like for real. Like open up, your real feelings, and that kind of friend is just so valuable, So I'd say you want to have friends like that. You don't want to have a lot of friends who are not honest with their feelings. They can't talk about stuff, and then they kind of blame things on other people. That's not that's not my goal in life. My goal is to be a mature, emotionally mature man who can handle his emotions, who deals with the difficulties as they arise, who thinks deeply about what he says, and I would say becomes closer and closer to his authentic self, who he really is. What he really wants. And that is a great thing. This in the heart of it, this is like the strength of a man, is that he's not like a fragile, brittle, he's more like something that bends in the wind, but very strong, like a tree. A man is like a tree. He's got roots, very strong. If a car hits a tree, that car is toast, right? And but the tree just sits there, and then when the wind blows, the branches move, right, and the leaves really move, right. But there's a real strength to a tree, and the tree even holds the dirt together. So like on a mountainside, a tree can help the dirt not to erode away, because the branches, the roots kind of hold it there. Right. So I think a man is like that. And that is my kind of image that I want to be, and so the things I'm talking about here are dealing with stuff that allow you to be that strong man who can also bend at the same time. And also is like I said, honest with himself. And that's not easy. Definitely not easy, man. Especially when you've been fucked over or you feel like you've been fucked over, And some guys have really been fucked over. And it gets more complicated, especially with divorce, because you have the opposing party, the woman, right? But you also have the courts, and you also have, all kinds of legal stuff and contracts, and, you have, what is it, like family custody, whatever they're called. Like, there's all these like psychologists and like, this stuff is like insanely frustrating, like, and expensive, So, I mean, we're talking way past the normal trauma of a relationship, and you're talking about the state. We're talking about, logistics, legalities. We're talking about legalese. We're talking about contracts. We're talking about fear. We're talking about frustration and entrenched attitudes, and bureaucracy. This is like extremely frustrating stuff. And so this type of stuff, I can more see a real frustration coming out, and I think a lot of guys have really been fucked over. And so, the frustration is not from breakup. It's from something much more serious, like losing access to children, or losing your fortune, or, deep emotional wounds from like seriously being fucked over by somebody. Right. So these things are, so it could even, just to say finally, I would say it could be the opposite of what I've said so far in this podcast, where, a guy is saying like pump and dump, but the truth is he actually has some serious wounds in there, and these things are not his fault, and they're not just simply talking about him. They're like, he needs to work. He needs to do some deep internal work to overcome these, and he should, and he deserves, loving, caring people around him who can help him through this thing. And he's trying to make light of it, like pump and dump, but actually there's some like really serious shit that he's been through, and that's he's not making a mountain out of a molehill. That's the exact opposite, right? So either way, guys, that's kind of what I'm thinking. There's many ways to look at these things. I don't know if there's any other terms you can think of that you would put in this category of like these kind of like running around mindless. I don't know if they're mindless, but just parroted memes that just kind of go around. I'd love to hear your take on this one and how you think about this. What do you think about this, guys? Love to hear. All right, guys, I will talk to you soon. My friend is coming in town tonight from Germany, and we're going to have a great time. And for a couple weeks, head to the beach. It's going to be fucking awesome. And the convention's coming up February 2nd through 4th next month. So that's going to be freaking great. I can't wait to meet you guys. And I hope you guys have a nice early 2019. All right, Ronin Man signing.